Deep in the Amalaki grove at Cātumā, the monastic community operated in near absolute silence. This was an environment engineered for deep meditation, where even the rustle of leaves seemed loud. That serenity broke with the sudden arrival of 500 visiting monks, led by two of the Buddha's chief disciples, Sāriputta and Mahāmoggallāna. As the massive group settled into the grove, they filled the space with the clatter of bowls, the snapping of heavy robes, and loud, overlapping chatter. The noise was impossible to ignore. The Buddha turned to his attendant, Ananda, asking why these monks were shouting like quarreling fishermen. He did not let the disruption slide. He immediately sent Ananda to summon the entire visiting group to face judgment. When they arrived, the Buddha's response was swift and severe. He ordered all 500 monks to leave the grove. They were banished from his presence without ceremony. With the grove suddenly empty, the 500 monks were left to absorb the impact of a discipline so absolute that it offered no room for immediate negotiation. The banished monks did not argue. They quietly packed their belongings, formed a line, and began a solemn, silent march away from the grove. On their way out, they were intercepted by the local Sakyans of Cātumā, who were stunned to learn of the sweeping mass exile. The Sakyans went straight to the Buddha. They didn't excuse the bad behavior, but they pointed out a critical flaw in the punishment. Many of these 500 men were brand new novices. They argued that without the Buddha's direct guidance, these new monks would wither and lose their faith, exactly like young, fragile seedlings deprived of water. The Sakyans continued their plea with another image, comparing the novices to young calves, who, separated from their mothers, would wander lost and distressed. At that moment, a celestial being named Sahampati Brahmā appeared. Recognizing the crisis, the deity echoed the exact same argument, pleading for compassion toward the young monks. Hearing this identical plea from both earthly patrons and celestial figures, the Buddha made a deliberate choice to relent, calling the procession back. Strict discipline has its place, but true leadership means recognizing when enforcing an absolute rule does more damage to the most fragile members of the group than the original offense. When the 500 monks returned to the grove, the chaotic noise of their first arrival was gone, replaced by a deep, absolute silence. The Buddha then tested his chief disciples. He asked Sāriputta what he had been thinking during the vanishment. Sāriputta admitted he assumed the Buddha wanted to abide in peace, so he planned to passively sit back and do the same. The Buddha corrected him. He told Sāriputta to dismiss that thought entirely. Withdrawing into silence while the community fractured was a failure of responsibility. He asked Mahāmoggallāna the same question. Mahāmoggallāna replied that his immediate instinct was to step up and take over the administration of the exiled group. By praising Mahāmoggallāna, the Buddha signaled that the survival of the Sangha depended on those willing to take up the burden of responsibility during a fracture. With the community reunited, the Buddha turned this crisis into a foundational lesson. He explained that entering monastic life is like wading into dangerous water, facing 4 psychological perils: waves of anger when corrected, crocodiles of gluttony and fasting resentment, whirlpools pulling you toward worldly wealth, and sharks representing the sudden, violent strike of lust. Navigating these waters requires a delicate balance. A leader must enforce discipline to keep the surface calm, while providing the compassionate guidance vulnerable minds need to survive the predators lurking below.